In today's attempt to save money and improve my wrenching skills, I'm going to be removing the radiator support, the power steering cooling lines, the intercooler hoses, and then taking a look at how nasty and grimy the engine bay is on this 20-year-old Audi.
For these jobs, you're going to need a couple of screwdrivers, a ratchet, 10 mil deep well socket, 7 mil deep well socket, T45, T40, and T30 sockets. It's also a good idea to get some drip pans or something to catch all the fluids that are going to be coming out of this thing. Find a good place to put your radiator support as well. Here you'll be removing these hose clamps for the intercooler that is connected to the lower portion of the radiator support. This clamp is inside of the engine bay behind the driver headlight connecting to the intercooler. This bolt is on the driver's side by the headlight. Now we're moving into removing these bolts from the bumper support. I used a ratchet and then I used my drill because it was a lot easier.
Put on the right side.
Moving over to the passenger side, I started removing a few of these bolts so I could get at that area underneath the headlight. And then I started removing components that held the radiator in place. More of the same on the passenger side, removing this radiator support bracket. I started off with the ratchet, then I moved to the power tools. Once I got these brackets off, I moved on to the radiator removal. To get the hood latch off, all I did was slide that cable out. It wasn't very hard. And then there's a controller for the fan that's held on by a 10mm screw. That was pretty easy as well. I started removing these bolts that hold the radiator support in. You can start with the radiator if you want. I just decided to loosen these. Now that I'm moving on to the radiator, all I needed to do at this point was to pull the radiator apart from the hoses. I did have to put something underneath it to catch the fluids, and then also be sure not to drop it like I did and almost break
There
it.
you go. Never been off. Oh,
Here's where I made a mess with the power steering cooling lines. I should have had something underneath it to catch all the fluid or some way to clamp it. Additionally, look at the hoses right below where that line is. The intercooler was leaking oil, so watch out for that. Now we're ready to remove this radiator support and fan housing. putting it into the service position. The wires were a little tight when removing it. I should have had something underneath it to hold it, or something that wasn't going to scratch it up. As I remove this support, all of the wires and connections are on the right side. Another issue that I ran into when removing this section is a connector from the wiring harness that's connected to that fan controller right there by the hood latch. It was stuck inside of a bracket as I was pulling it off, making it very difficult, so look out for that. On the bottom of this bracket or support, the intercooler runs through the bottom tube. It may have some fluid in there, so watch out when you set it down. That's all for today. Next week, I'll be degreasing the engine, taking apart the intake side, and removing the AC compressor and related components to see if I can salvage them.